Part 139. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1382. Things are not getting better, and they are not getting worse. Zhang Chen stayed in Hongdian for 2 days and returned to Hangzhou. He Hongmei and Wenwen needed to stay in Hongdian. They discussed many projects in Hongdian. Anyway, for film and television people, traveling to and from Hongdian is a common occurrence. Xiang Nan Xiangbei also stayed in Hongdian. Xiang Nan needed to make a film, so Zhang Xiangbei followed him randomly and acted as various extras. One day he was the son of a landlord, the next he was a little beggar, and the day after that he was selling cigarettes, match, Osmanthus candy on the street. Xiao Fang follows them and takes time to give them tutoring every day. 2 days after Zhang Chen returned to Hangzhou from Hongdian, Hui Huan returned from Sanya. Cao Minfang called Zhang Chen and asked him to send a car to pick her up. Zhang Chen thought about it and went by himself. On the way back to Tuxianjiayuan Hotel from the airport, Zhang Chen and Hui Huan kept chatting about work matters, as if nothing had ever happened between them. When they arrived at the Tuxianjiayuan Hotel and turned across the bridge from Yingbin Avenue, Zhang Chen did not drive the car forward to the entrance of the hotel. Instead, he stopped under the shade of the trees beside the bridge. The two of them stopped. Eyes, all looking straight ahead. Zhang Chen asked, "How are you?" Hui Huan smiled reluctantly and said, "Okay." After a moment of silence, Zhang Chen said, "I'm sorry." Hui Huan turned her head, looked at Zhang Chen and asked, "What are you sorry for?" "Everything I do is what I want to do. You didn't force me to do anything. On the contrary, I'm very happy." Zhang Chen nodded and said, "But, I think I still have to say, leaving Sanya so suddenly, I feel like..." "Stop talking, brother Zhang. If you don't leave Sanya, will you say sorry to Sister Hongmei?" Hui Huan asked. Zhang Chen was stunned by the question, and Hui Huan smiled miserably. "Didn't I tell you a long time ago, brother Zhang, then I can listen to my parents and go on a blind date, you wish let me be happy." Zhang Chen's mouth moved, but he couldn't say the words of blessing. "Let's go. If you park here for too long, it won't be good for people in the hotel to see you. They all know your car," Hui Huan said. Zhang Chen said yes, started the car, and drove to the hotel entrance. The greeters and security guards at the door, including the manager on duty in the lobby, saw Hui Huan coming back and ran over to help her get out. "Get something in the car." Zhang Chen didn't get out of the car. After Hui Huan got off the car, she turned around and said to Zhang Chen with a smile, "Thank you, Mr. Zhang." Zhang Chen waved his hand, started the car and left. Everything seemed to have returned to calm. When Zhang Chen saw Hui Huan again, Hui Huan was just like before. She didn't say more words to Zhang Chen, nor did she deliberately avoid him. When there was someone around, Hui Huan would call him Mr. Zhang. She would call him Brother Zhang when there was no one around, and Zhang Chen couldn't ask, how was her blind date going? When Xiang Nan's filming in Hongdian was over, Zhang Chen and Tan Shuhen took the minibus that Lu Ligan's company used to shuttle home buyers to Hongdian, and drove He Hongmei, Xiao Fang, Wenwen and Xiang Nan to the north. They all came back together. He Hongmei and Wenwen stayed in Hangzhou for 3 days and returned to Beijing together. During this period, Zhang Chen accompanied them to Qiqiao to purchase a batch of fabrics needed for red plum blossoms. Zhang Chen also took He Hongmei with him. I went to Ba Cai of Sijiking Fabric Market and selected a lot of fabrics. He Hongmei and Zhang Chen said that the fabrics produced by Ba Cai are really suitable for selling online. Online customers buy them one by one, so there is no demand for large quantities. Once a fabric is used up, it will be sold out, and then change to other styles. Zhang Chen thinks it makes sense. Xiao Fang will not return to China during the Spring Festival this year. Xiaofang and Xiaoshu accompanied their parents on a trip back to Chongqing, and also went south and north. Xiaofang and the others went back to see their grandmother and uncle and aunt. The uncle is now the deputy county magistrate of their hometown. He sent a car to Chongqing to pick them up and not only returned to the county, but also went to the countryside. It turns out that Xiaofang and Xiaoshu attended the township elementary school. When they found out that they were back, the principal came to invite them to give lectures. Xiaofang was the only one in the entire county who could get into Zhejiang University, let alone Yale University. Currently studying for a PhD, Xiaofang is the pride of their rural primary school. Her photo is always posted in the school window. Posted in the window with Xiaofang, there is also a photo of Xiaoshu. Who would have thought that this naughty and mischievous guy has now become a nationally renowned painter? The price of his paintings is said to be worth $1. A building has been built, which is a topic that people talk about in their hometown. The two siblings were invited to the school in such a grand manner and given a grand farewell. Not many people in the rural primary school knew what kind of oil paintings Xiaoshu did. They prepared rice paper and brushes. Since Xiaoshu was back, they were going to invite Xiaoshu. Tree paints pictures for school. Xiaoshu had never done Chinese painting before, but fortunately he had the skills and knowledge to handle it. He looked at it for himself and thought it was pretty good. However, there was no seal, and the Chinese painting did not have a signature seal, so it always looked incomplete. The little tree painted one with red paint. By the time Xiaofang, Xiaoshu and the others return to Hangzhou from Chongqing, the day will not be far before Xiaofang will return to the United States. On this day, they had dinner together at Zhang Chen's parents' place. Xiaofang and Zhang Chen said, "Brother-in-law, after dinner, I have something to tell you." Zhang Chen said yes. "Xiaoshu, you are coming too," Xiaofang said to Xiaoshu again, and Xiaoshu nodded. After dinner, Zhang Chen's mother and Xiao Zhao's mother were cleaning up. Xiaofang and Zhang Chen said, "Brother-in-law, let's go over there." When Zhang Chen saw Xiaofang being so solemn, he knew there was something important. He stood up and said to Xiaoshu, "Let's go." Xiaoshu also stood up. Zhang Xiangbei wanted to follow them, but Yao Fen stopped him. She told Xiangnan Xiangbei, "How about I take you to buy milk tea, take them to Wang Minchen's store." Zhang Chen and the other three entered the room and sat down on the sofa. Xiaofang and Zhang Chen said, "My parents have a lot of things. Even if I tell them, they don't understand. Brother-in-law, you are the head of our family. If I have something to do, I can only tell you, okay?" Zhang Chen said, "Yes, you just say so. I may be able to graduate early and get my degree next summer," Xiaofang said. "It's so fast, doesn't it take 3 years?" Zhang Chen asked. "With the credit system, if you get all the credits in advance, you can defend your thesis in advance. I have communicated with my supervisor, and he also believes that according to my current progress, I can graduate early," Xiaofang said. "That's great," Zhang Chen looked at Xiaoshu and laughed. Xiaoshu also laughed. Zhang Chen said, "If your sister knows, she will be very happy." "She knows, and I have already told her," Xiaofang said. "Brother-in-law, there is another thing I want to tell you today. After graduating next year, I plan not to come back for the time being and work in the United States for a few years." Zhang Chen was stunned for a moment and asked, "Do you like America, or?" "No, the main thing is that people like us who study basic chemistry will basically teach in schools when we come back. Zhejiang University actually wants me to come back to Zhejiang University," Xiaofang said. "It would be great to teach at Zhejiang University," Zhang Chen said. Xiaofang said with a bitter face, "But, I don't like teaching." "Then what are you going to do in the United States?" Zhang Chen asked. "When I went to Wall Street, 2 companies have already invited me." "Wall Street?" Zhang Chen was confused. "Isn't Wall Street all banks and financial institutions?" Are there any technology companies or chemical companies there? Xiaofang smiled and said, the one who came to invite me is the financial company. Zhang Chen didn't understand even more. He asked, as a chemistry major, what can you do in a financial company? Isn't this inappropriate for your major? There is no problem of mismatched majors. Xiaofang smiled, brother-in-law, Wall Street is not what you think. Banks like these in China have everyone there. Not only do we study chemistry, but we also study archaeology and sociology. There are all kinds of mathematics, psychology, etc., and basically all the mathematical elites in American universities are recruited by them. If you think about it, what is finance? The essence of finance is not about the coming and going of money, but the study of the laws that drive the operation of the world and the changes in human nature. The design of a financial model must take into account all aspects. There is know-how about experts in various industries. Zhang Chen smiled bitterly and said, but, from what I heard, it seems that it has nothing to do with your chemistry. Of course it does matter. Xiaofang said, brother-in-law, you underestimate our chemistry. From a large perspective, this Earth, including the entire universe, is the result of physical and chemical movements. From a small perspective, our human beings isn't evolution the result of chemical changes? Isn't it biological evolution? Zhang Chen asked. Xiaofang said, strictly speaking, biology and medicine are branches of chemistry. Physics and chemistry are the basis of everything. Mathematics is the tool used by physics and chemistry to explain and reveal the world. Without physics, chemistry, and mathematics will become meaningless subjects. Having said that, these Wall Street companies are not looking for professional talents across the United States, but the most powerful brains. Only the most powerful brains can design models that are more confusing. To put it harshly, it is more confusing. Deceptive. A person with an IQ of 150 will deceive a person with an IQ of 120, a person with an IQ of 120, or a person with an IQ of 90, that's why they will find me. Okay, I don't understand what you are saying, Zhang Chen said, but I know that no matter what, this person is better off staying still than moving. If I hadn't moved, I would still be in that small theater troupe. If your sister doesn't move, it's very likely that even the two of you haven't walked out of those mountains yet. Xiaofang, including Xiaoshu, as long as you do what you like, no matter where you go or what you do, my brother-in-law will support you. Thank you, brother-in-law, Xiaofang said, and Xiaoshu also said, thank you, brother-in-law. I knew that my brother-in-law would definitely support me. Xiaofang smiled and added. Zhang Chen also laughed and said, I haven't become an old antique yet. No, no, you are still young, Xiaofang shouted, and the three of them laughed. Xiaofang clapped her hands and said, okay, I've finished my business, brother-in-law, let's talk about Baibei's business next. Zhang Xiangbei? What's going on with Zhang Xiangbei? Zhang Chen asked doubtfully. Thank you, book friend 201907061727204449 for the reward. Thank you 201901280043000349, PCM 600812, book friend 201907061727204449, book friend 201912162129444508, wonderful on the road monthly tickets. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you a nice weekend. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1383. During this period, I got in touch with Baibei. I think he is very smart, but he is unwilling to endure hardships in learning. This is a problem of learning attitude and habits. It is very difficult to change it all at once. Xiaofang and Zhang Chen said, according to Baibei's current grades, it is very difficult to get into a good high school. Time flies. It will be the second year of junior high school when school starts, and it will be the third year of junior high school next year. Brother-in-law, if Bai can't get into a good high school, if you are in high school, the probability of going to a good university in the future will be very low. When the time comes, have you ever thought about what Bai will do? Zhang Chen said with a smile, at worst, let him go to the factory and work as a sewing worker. I'm not kidding, brother-in-law, I'm serious, Xiao Fang said, Bai really wants to be a sewing worker. Are you willing to give up? How did you tell my sister? Then what should I do? If not, just follow me and learn to be a boss, Zhang Chen said, I haven't gone to college anyway. It's different, brother-in-law, times have changed. At that time, there were very few people who actually went to college. Everyone was on the same starting line. Only if you are smarter than the people around you and have special skills can you stand out. In the future, these college students will more and more people without knowledge or university education will be marginalized. Bai is far behind others at this stage. How do you expect him to compete with others? Brother-in-law, I remember you also said that this society will develop and the industry will upgrade. The content of technology must be getting heavier and heavier. In this process, people will fall behind faster. Not to mention Bai, even my sister and Shahan, they already feel that they can't catch up, so they have to take the self-study exam. Sister Shahan, she told me a few days ago that she is going to study for an MBA at Zhejiang University. Really, brother-in-law, the generation of Bai will definitely not be able to do it without systematic study, training, and knowledge reserves. The opportunities we face will be much less than others. Zhang Chen also felt that what Xiao Fang said made sense. He turned around and asked Xiaoshu, do you feel anything about Zhang Xiangbei's painting? If not, let him take the art exam. At any time and in any era, there will still be a place for artists. Xiaoshu shook his head, he really has no interest at all. Letting him go to the art museum is like killing him. Brother-in-law, you also know that if this is the case, force his head and let him study. Is it possible to learn how to draw well? Zhang Chen scratched his head, how come this guy didn't inherit any of my genes? It's inherited. He looks so much like you, and his intelligence is also inherited, Xiao Fang said with a smile, it's just that the ability to draw is not inherited. You hid it, right? Hide it wherever you want. If he needs it, I can dig out his heart and lungs. Zhang Chen shook his head and said, Xiao Fang, you are right. This is really a headache. So we have to prepare early, Xiao Fang said, otherwise, it will be too late and no road will work. Zhang Chen asked, how to prepare early? I have an idea, Xiao Fang said, send him to the United States to attend high school. Zhang Chen was startled and shouted, go to high school in the United States. Yes, if Bai's situation is compared to Americans in the United States, I think he will have an advantage. He has the ability to go to a good high school, and he will also have the possibility to go to a good university in the future. In our country, the high school entrance examination is almost determined throughout life. If you lose the battle of high school entrance examination, you will basically lose all the way, which is why everyone pays so much attention to the high school entrance examination. Are you saying that Americans are all stupid pigs? Zhang Chen asked. No, it's because the educational philosophy and learning methods are different. We are exam-oriented education, and rote memorization is the basic skill. This is exactly what Bai lacks the most. I have seen some Chinese students in the United States who are not very good in China. But when I arrived in the United States, I became a top student, and I think Bai is very promising. Xiao Fang looked at Zhang Chen and continued, besides, brother-in-law, I'm still in the United States. If Bai goes, I can take care of him. Zhang Chen thought for a moment and said yes, even if he didn't study well in the end, it would be good for him to go out and see the world. If he couldn't read thousands of books, let him walk thousands of miles. But how do I go to high school in the United States? Zhang Chen asked. I understand. If Bai Bei wants to go to the United States, he needs to take 2 exams. One is SLEP, which is the Middle School English Proficiency Test. For this, you can just let Bai Bei go to Sister Shuwen to study. I will also take it. Send the information and requirements of SLEP, as well as past test papers, to Sister Shuwen. She knows what to do. After studying with Sister Shuwen for 2 years, it shouldn't be a problem for Bai Bei to pass SLEP. There is also another test, the SAT, the American High School Entrance Test, which is equivalent to our domestic high school entrance examination. Do you still have to take the high school entrance examination? Bai Bei couldn't do well in the domestic entrance examination, so he still has to go to the United States to take the high school entrance examination, Zhang Chen shouted. It's different, brother-in-law. I took a look at his high school entrance examination paper. It consists of 4 parts: reading, Chinese, mathematics and writing. After learning the other 3 parts from Sister Shuwen, there is no big problem. Compared with SLEP, the level is a little lower. If you can pass SLEP, this problem is not big. As for the mathematics part, their 3rd grade of junior high school is equivalent to our 1st grade of junior high school. That is to say, Bai Bei's current level. Think about it, when Bai Bei reaches the 3rd grade of junior high school, go back and take the test of the 1st grade of junior high school. Isn't it easy? Zhang Chen nodded. If this is the case, it seems that he is quite confident. Yes, brother-in-law, if Sister Shuwen can help Bai Bei improve her English, there will definitely be no problem. Xiaoshu said on the side, and Zhang Chen remembered that Xiaoshu was the beneficiary back then. It was all because of Lin Shuwen's help in improving his English and art exam scores that he suddenly improved. Xiaofang looked at her watch and said, "Brother-in-law, do you want me to call Sister Shuwen and see if she knows about SLEP?" Zhang Chen said yes. Xiaofang picked up her mobile phone and called Lin Shuwen. The call was connected. Xiaofang told Lin Shuwen about the matter. Then Zhang Chen and Xiaoshu saw Xiaofang smiling and kept saying, "Really? That's great. Okay, I understand, Sister Shuwen." After hanging up the phone, Xiaofang and Zhang Chen said, "Sister Shuwen just told me that there are many parents of children in her place who also want to send their children out. They are planning to open a SLEP training class next semester. There is a SAT tutoring class, and she originally wanted to tell you when she meets you and Sister Shahen in the next few days that Bai Bei and Nanan should also study." Zhang Chen and Xiaoshu both laughed. What a coincidence. Zhang Chen remembered and asked, "Xiaofang, do you think Xiangnan needs to go?" "Sister Shahen will not agree," Xiaofang said. "Besides, Xiangnan doesn't have this need. Her foundation is not bad to begin with, and she will make great progress if she catches it. During this period, she has improved a lot. I believe that her grades next semester will be different from this semester, and she still has a high chance of being admitted to a key high school." "I'll ask Tan Shahen tomorrow," Zhang Chen said. "Basically no chance," Xiaofang said. "Ask if you don't have a chance." "What about Bai Bei?" Xiaofang asked. "Does it mean that if you don't go to the south, you won't go to Bai Bei?" "I just won't go to the south, and Zhang Xiangbei will go too." "Boy, it doesn't matter if you gain experience. Didn't I tell you that you can't read thousands of books, but you still have to travel thousands of miles?" Zhang Chen said. "Zhang Xiangbei, I'll leave it to you and Awen." "Okay, then when I return to the United States, I will start looking for a school for Bai Bei. I'd better choose a high school in New York so that I can take care of him." Zhang Chen said yes. The next day, Zhang Chen drove to Kyoshi Academy, went to Tan Shahen's office, and told her the matter. As Xiaofang expected, Tan Shahen refused immediately. Tan Shahen said, "Going to high school in the United States? Zhang Chen, are you dizzy? Are you willing to do so? What is there to be reluctant to do? Go to school, it's not what you're going to do. If a kid comes from Yongcheng to Hangcheng to study, isn't he leaving home? What's the difference between going to the United States? Zhang Chen said, you are a wooden fish brain. How old were you when you went to the student class? You were so young, why would MRS Tan be willing to live in the regiment every day? No, no, there's no need to talk about this matter. If I want to go to your home in the north, I will definitely not go to my home in the south. I will die to let her go to a key high school in China. Zhang Chen, you and I are different, Tan Shahan said. What's the difference? Zhang Chen asked. Nanan is a girl and Bai Bei is a boy. The difference is huge, Tan Shahan said. Also, for so many years, Nanan and I have been dependent on each other. She can't live without me as a mother and I as a mom, I can't live without her. Speaking of which, Zhang Chen had nothing to say. More than a week later, it was time for Xiaofang to return to the United States. Zhang Chen still asked Lu Ligan to send a minibus. This time, everyone in their family, including Xiongnan and Xiangbei, went to Shanghai Pudong Airport to see Xiaofang off. Fang. Xiaofang was not lonely on the way back to the United States this time. There was another person traveling with her, and that was Lin Shuwen. Lin Shuwen went to the United States this time to inspect and contact American universities and middle schools. Lin Shuwen believed that Chinese people are better at educating their children. They are very willing to invest. Taiwanese people have a saying of red, 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 go to NTU, go, go, go to the United States. Sending children to study abroad in the United States and other countries was once an inevitable choice for Taiwan's middle class. Lin Shuwen believes that with the development of the mainland's economy, more and more people will study abroad at their own expense in the future, and training abroad will become more popular than ever. The market demand for general language training is greater. Lin Shuwen went to the United States to inspect the SLEP and SAT projects. She also hoped to establish contact with American schools, especially some middle schools, and use their LinkedIn Foreign Language School as an entrusted enrollment site for American middle and high schools. Thank you to Age of Innocence 1122 and Daos Hung 123 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1384. In the afternoon, the chirping of cicadas rang out from the large camphor trees behind the office and the willow trees surrounding the pond in front. The chirping of cicadas makes this old academy converted from a temple, now the office of Zhejiang Jingxia Real Estate Group, seem even quieter. It is so quiet that it is almost out of the noisy city, so quiet that it makes people drowsy. Lu Ligan sat blankly in his chair, staring at the computer screen in front of him. On the screen was yesterday's sales statistics table for various places. The numbers on it were half dead, making their entire company feel like they were still dead, and they couldn't live happily. More than half a year has passed. This year, at the beginning of the year, they expected sales to be very light. They didn't even dare to set a sales target for the whole year. How could the plan keep up with the waves of macro control policies? What about a company are worthy of stringent measures at the national level? They expected sales to be light, but they didn't expect that it would last for such a long time. Even if real estate is a urinal, you still have to use it, right? If it has been almost a year since the central bank raised interest rates in October last year, and there is not even a sign of loosening of this entire wave of macro control, no one knows when it will end. Lu Ligan stared at the screen. He felt that this situation must change. He could not just surrender and be chopped alive with blunt knives. You can't influence the policies of the central government, So you have to start from yourself and take some measures to make the numbers on the screen fatter. Now they are all skinny, like Kafka's The Hungry Artist. It has been several days. Lou Ligon has been staring blankly at the computer screen every day. He feels that there must be some way to solve the current situation. He feels that the way is hidden somewhere, but he still can't. Could not find it? The sensuality of the past few years has really made things worse. Lou Ligon felt that he had become dull. In terms of thinking, he had become fat and not so agile. There should be a way, so why couldn't he think of it? Pull them out of this mess. Lou Ligon picked up a cigarette, stood it up, with the filter end down, and pressed it on his desk, trying to thicken the tobacco inside. Even the Shanghai cigarette factory has become a profiteer. Now China, the tobacco inside the cigarette was very fluffy. Lou Li puffed the cigarette a few times, and a section of cigarette paper was left on top. Lou Ligong put the cigarette in his mouth and lit it with a lighter. A red flame appeared on the empty cigarette paper, and then it went out, and the cigarette was lit. Lou Ligon fell in love with the fleeting flame, so when he smokes now, he likes to thicken the tobacco first. Lou Ligon leaned back on the chair, tilted his head upward, and blew out smoke rings. Unfortunately, all he spit out were zeros. You must know that 0 on the statistics table means nothing. Lou Ligon, not liking this number, he tried again and again to see if he could spit out other numbers, but failed. Lou Ligon sat up straight, puffed out the cigarette at the computer screen, and looked at the report through the swirling smoke. The report seemed to be moving. Lou Ligon stood up, walked to the window, and looked outside. He wanted to find a trace of a cicada among the thick branches and leaves of the willow tree outside, but failed. He stared at the roots of the willow tree. There were many cicadas there. Small holes. When they were young, they would not take a nap at noon like this. They would either go swimming in the river, or they would dig holes like this under the trees with sticks, and they would always find cicada pupae half the size of a thumb in the middle. They put the cicada pupae in the box and waited for them to turn into cicadas. When Lou Ligon was a child, he never understood how the cicada pupae went underground. There was only a hole slightly larger than the eye of a needle. How did the female cicadas crawl in and out to reproduce the next generation? To this day, he still doesn't understand. In fact, when Lou Ligon and his friends were growing up, they rarely called cicadas cicadas. They always called them cicadas because the sound of cicadas chirping seemed to say cicadas, cicadas, but Lou Ligon felt that the cicadas outside these cicadas should now be called I don't know, which is more suitable for the situation and his current mood. Lou Ligon returned to his desk and sat down, continuing to stare at the computer screen. As he watched, he reached for the phone on the table, called Ying Ying, and told her, "Go back to Hangzhou, I have something to talk to you about." "When, Mr. Liu?" Ying Ying asked. "The faster, the better," Lou Ligon said. "Okay, I'll leave right away." After Ying Ying finished speaking, she hung up the phone. Lou Ligon stood up, found a chopstick from the cabinet, walked out, squatted under the willow tree outside, and started digging. In the office, someone discovered Lou Ligon. Not knowing what he was doing, they stood at the window and looked at him. More people came to the window. Tan Shahen pushed the window open, stuck her head out and asked, "What are you doing?" "Dig cicadas," Lou Li said without looking back. "Childish. Boring," Tan Shahen cursed, then retracted her head and closed the window with a bang. In the evening, Ying Ying returned to Hangzhou. She called Lou Ligon and told him that she had arrived in Hangzhou. Lou Ligon said, "Come here and go to Mr. Zhang in the dynamic zone to have dinner here." After putting down the phone, Lou Ligon told Zhang Chen to ask the kitchen to add a few more dishes, and Ying Ying wanted to come over. "Ying Ying? Is she coming back from Nanjing or Suzhou?" Zhang Chen asked. "Nanjing," Lou Ligon said, "I asked her to come back." "Why did you ask her to come back?" "Have no idea. You called her back without knowing it, Zhang Chen scolded. You are so crazy that you want her to be crazy too. Yes, that's what I mean, Lu Ligan said. Unreasonable, Zhang Chen cursed, picked up the phone and asked the canteen down below to bring them more dishes. Cai and Ying Ying arrived at about the same time. The three of them sat down at the conference table and chatted while eating. Ying Ying asked Lu Ligan, why did Huang Ama summon me back from Nanjing so urgently? I don't know what's going on, Ying Ying, Lu Ligan said, I just feel that I need to discuss an issue when I call you back. What's the problem? Ying Ying asked. Lu Ligan asked Ying Ying, do you think we have changed into cultivators? What do you mean? Ying Ying asked again. Zhang Chen looked at the two of them from the side and almost laughed. He was really a master at answering questions with questions. Lu Ligan thought for a moment and said, Ying Ying, do you still remember that when we first started doing real estate, whether it was Splendid Huading or the Splendid Jiangnan across the street, every time we did a project, we would continue to market it? According to the survey, at that time, the entire real estate market in Hangzhou had not yet risen, but we knew the market well, and we found our customers out of the wilderness. Ying Ying stopped her chopsticks and seemed to know what Lu Ligan wanted to say. She looked at Lu Ligan and nodded. Now, all fools know that the real estate market has risen, but how much do we still know about this market now? Lu Ligan continued to ask, how much do we still know about our customers? What kind of houses do they need? When are they going to buy a house? Why do they want to buy it? Why don't they buy it? And what are the factors that influence them to buy or not to buy? Ying Ying, do we still know about these problems now? The real estate market has been too hot in recent years, and the life of house builders has been too good. The result of it always being a seller's market is that we sellers are getting farther and farther away from the buyers. We no longer know where the buyers are and what they need. Ying Ying nodded slowly. She was right. Mr. Lu, what you said makes sense. We have indeed become simple and crude now. We rarely think of ways to sell the house. All we use is to throw money and throw money at it. Money is spent on advertising, money is spent on reports, money is spent on experts to brag, money is spent on hiring contractors, and money is spent on queuing up in the sales department to create a hot selling scene. Other than that, it seems that no brains have been used. Yes, it seems that we spend a lot more money on sales than before, but not a penny is really spent on the cutting edge, on market research and direct marketing to customers. Lu Ligan said, we are getting further and further away from real home buyers. In the past few years, the market has actually undergone earth-shaking changes. The market is beginning to be segmented. There are those who are speculative and those who have real steel demand. In the steel demand, there are also those who solve housing problems and improve housing. We are committed to them. We don't know all the needs, and our eyes are dark. In this way, we are actually destroying our martial arts. When the market is hot, even a fool can sell a house anyway, so we just follow suit. When the market is sluggish, others are dumbfounded, and we are dumbfounded too. Our sense of touch is dulled and our sense of smell is degraded. When the market changes, we have no countermeasures at all, we can just put the blame on the bad environment and macro control. What's so great about real estate developers and what's so great about people who sell houses? We think we're great. When we go on TV and in the media, we talk about things and point out the world. We get a little carried away and think we're so high-ranking. In fact, we and all companies are not. Just like Mr. Zhang and others who sell clothes, the three words are production, supply, and sales. If Mr. Zhang and others don't know what kind of clothing customers need, problems will definitely arise. In fact, we are the same. The problems we encounter now are actually our own problems. We don't know what kind of houses to build. The problem of supply is not in our hands. We can only choose to buy and sell the land auctioned by the storage center. We don't know how to sell it or to whom to sell it. Production, supply, we have nothing to do with the word sale, so how could there not be any problems? What we, the whole company, are doing right now, I think, is waiting for the policy to be loosened and the market to be hot again, and we will be fools again. But the problem is, if this continues, the entire market will remain like this. The national macro control policy will continue for another 2, 3 years, or even longer. What should we do? Mr. Liu, I understand. You are so anxious to ask me to come back. Do you want me to redo what I have done before and figure out the entire market again? I know why you asked me to come back, Ying explained. Yes, now I know why I asked you to come back, Lu Ligan said, and both of them laughed. Come, eat food, Ying, don't just talk, Zhang Chen and Ying said. Ying took some chopsticks and tasted the dishes, and said to them. I have a direction, and I feel that my food is delicious. Mr. Liu, actually during this period, I have been worried about what happened to the market. What you just said is right. If we can't even feel the pulse, what's the point? What kind of medicine can be prescribed? Even if it is prescribed, it will be prescribed randomly. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes at around 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you, Feng Zhongli. Green PU Ecological Home Ecological Wood FB 578695, Book Friends 1603181341576688. Why can't I change my name? Blue Imagination Monthly Pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Happy Saturday everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1385. Ying designed 2 questionnaires and recruited more than a dozen people from various sales departments in Hangzhou. Ying divided everyone into 4 groups, and divided the entire Hangzhou into 4 areas, with each group corresponding to an area. Before departure, Ying held a meeting for everyone and emphasized the matters that should be paid attention to during the investigation. After the meeting, Ying took the dozen or so people and set off under the scorching summer sun. The entire investigation lasted for 5 days, and a total of more than 90,000 questionnaires were collected. Every day during the day, Ying and her people left early in the morning and returned home late. Table, statistics are calculated at the first time. Nearly 20,000 questionnaires are submitted every day, and statistics are also a huge workload. During the day, they are busy with daily work, and the people in the finance department have to work overtime. The results of the 5-day survey came out, which surprised Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen. Among those who were preparing to buy a house, there were not many people who wanted to buy a house immediately, reaching 43.6%, which was higher than what they expected in the future. 38 and 7% of those who bought it were even higher, and the rest were people who had not thought about it. This ratio is already higher than they originally expected and took it for granted. Without investigation, they really have no right to speak. Among those who wanted to buy a house right away but didn't, the top 2 factors that affected them in not buying a house right away were lack of down payment and difficulty in handling bank mortgage procedures. The current house prices are too high. The last one, this was somewhat beyond their expectations, which is why discounts did not promote sales. For those who really want to buy a house, as long as their conditions permit, they will not think that the current house price is too high. From this point of view, everyone generally agrees that now is a good time to buy a house. Although house prices are rising every year, the rising house prices also oppress home buyers from 2 aspects. First, house prices keep rising anyway. Tomorrow the house prices will always be higher than today, but today's house prices don't feel that high. Also, because house prices are rising every year, buy early and benefit early. If you don't buy today, you may regret it tomorrow. Looking at the people who want to buy a house immediately, the highest proportion are people who do business and work in Hangzhou from other places. It seems that these people who do business and work in Hangzhou from other places have also changed their minds in the past few years and returned to their hometowns to buy property. It is no longer their first choice. After staying in Hangzhou for a long time, they have become accustomed to the life in Hangzhou. The rent of houses in Hangzhou, like house prices, is also rising every year. In this case, those who live in rented houses certainly hope to buy a house immediately. People who do business often have small money but are short on big money. Even if they have hundreds of thousands in their hands, it would be enough to use all of it to pay the down payment, but after paying the down payment, they have no working capital for business. For this reason, people who want to buy a house immediately are the main reason why they don't buy a house without a down payment. Lu Ligan had a meeting with Tan Shahan, Lao Tan, and Ying Ying in the conference room. Lu Ligan said, "Did you see it? This is the real market we are facing. I believe that you can get a glimpse of the whole country by peeking at Hangzhou. If you go to every if cities do surveys, the results will be similar." Tan Shahan said with a wry smile, "What does this result mean to us? Those who want to buy a house right away still have no money in the end." Wrong, it's not that they don't have money, they don't have big money. They still have small money, and they are still paying the monthly rent, otherwise they would have been driven back to their hometown long ago, Lu Ligan said. "That's not the same thing," Lao Tan said. "When they save enough money to buy a house, they don't know it's the year of the monkey and the month of the horse." Lu Ligan picked up a cigarette and smoked it on the conference table. Lu Ligan said, "Then let's turn this year of the monkey into a horse. Let's make these people who want to buy a house right away be able to buy a house right away." Woolen cloth. Tan Shahan said with a smile, "What do you mean? Let's lend them money first and then let them buy our house." "Why should we lend them money?" Lu Ligan asked. "They took the money and wanted to buy a house. Why don't they give the money to us? Do they need to go back and forth?" Ying Ying's eyes lit up and she shouted, "Zero down payment." That's right, the cigarette in Lu Ligan's hand was broken. He slapped the table and said, "That's a good word, zero down payment. As long as we have zero down payment, won't these people be able to afford a house right away? They will start from now on. As long as they pay a mortgage payment slightly higher than the rent every month, they can have their own house immediately. Do you think they will buy it right away?" "Yes, if so, of course I will soon," Ying Ying said. Lu Ligan said, "We emphasize 2 points with them, one is zero down payment, and the other is to convert the rent into mortgage payment. We use these 2 points to impress those who are still renting a house but want to own their own house immediately. People. But this way, our risks will increase." "What if someone cuts off the payment?" Lao Tan said. "It's just these two idiots talking about their dreams. The bank's requirements for mortgages are already very high. Even with zero down payment, no bank is willing to do it," Tan Shahan and Lao Tan said. "We don't need a bank. We will do it ourselves. Our house has been built and left there. It will remain empty and will not produce any benefits. If we have an income of several thousand yuan every month, we can put it together. Will the cash flow look better immediately?" Lu Ligan said. "Moreover, the real estate certificate was not given to them. What risks do we have? According to the contract, if he fails to pay the payment for the building in any month, he will move out on his own," Ying Ying said. "After all, we are not selling houses, but renting them," Lao Tan said. "No, it's not renting a house," Lu Ligan said. "If we talk about renting a house, no one will come. What we are doing is selling a house. It's the same as buying a house normally. As long as you pay the house payment on time every month, the house is yours. As for the real estate certificate, it's not that there is no real estate certificate, but the application is delayed. If you buy a house now, won't you be able to apply for the real estate certificate immediately?" Lu Ligan became energetic and his eyes were bright. He thought and said, "Although ours is called zero down payment, it is not actually zero down payment. It is called down payment mortgage, or mortgage down payment. The home buyer can choose 3 or 5 years. The money he pays every month is actually a down payment. When the down payment is enough, we can switch them to normal banking business. By then, the bank should be very willing to do their business, right? If you switch to the bank's normal mortgage business, you can apply for a real estate certificate. Moreover, we also agreed that the home buyer can shorten this cycle at any time. That is to say, in these 3 to 5 years, as long as he has money, you can raise it at any time and ask for the down payment to be paid in advance, converted to the bank's normal mortgage business, and to get the real estate certificate as soon as possible. Lou Ligon talked incessantly. The more others listened, the more they understood. Even Tan Shuhen and Lao Tan became excited and felt that this matter could be done, but zero down payment, have you ever thought about it? If the policy does not allow it, the policy does not allow zero down payment business, Tan Shuhen reminded them. Policies are dead, but people are alive. Only dead people will be strangled to death by dead policies, Lou Ligon said confidently. The straight road will not work, but you can go through the detour. The front is there is no road on the cliff. If you build a bridge, there will be a road. Explain clearly, what do you mean? Lao Tan asked. Our company directly stated that it is a business with zero down payment. Of course it is illegal and will be punished, but it is not illegal to build a bridge. Is it illegal for us to borrow money and use the house as a loan for others? It must not be illegal, right? Lu Lirod asked. Lao Tan looked at Tan Shuhen and Ying Ying and said, I still don't understand. Do you two understand? Tan Shuhen and Ying Ying both shook their heads. Lou Ligon smiled. He stood up and walked to the whiteboard hanging on the wall. He picked up the whiteboard marker and drew 2 circles on the whiteboard. As he drew, he said, this is party A, which is us, this is party B. Lou Ligon drew a line between the 2 circles A and B to connect them. Lou Ligon said, if this party B is a home buyer, and we have direct contact like this, it is not only illegal, but also very risky, but if that's the case. Lou Li drew another circle on the whiteboard, wrote the word C in the circle, and then connected B and C with a line. Lou Ligon pointed to the C and said to them, if this is a house buyer, did you see that party A only contacts party B, and party C only contacts party B? The most important thing is that party A and party C, that is, there is no direct connection between us and the home buyers. As party A, are we still violating the law? Lou Ligon looked at the other 3 people, still looking at him blankly. Lou Ligon smiled and said, don't be impatient. Things will get simpler soon. Anyone can do tricks. The tricks vary, but to be honest, they are all very simple. If they are too complicated, the juggler will get in trouble on stage. You talk so much, Tan Shuhen scolded. Say it quickly, there's enough suspense, Ying Ying urged. Lou Ligon didn't take it seriously and continued to be there. He tapped the B on the whiteboard with the whiteboard pen in his hand and said to them slowly. So, who is this key B? This is the bridge we want to build, the bridge we want to cross, and it is also Lao Jiao of Shenzhen Angzhen Trust. Then, if we turn this whole thing upside down, it will be clearer now. House buyer C signed a trust agreement with Lao Jiao and the others. The content of the agreement is what we said before, whether it is zero down payment or mortgage down payment. Anyway, I pay several thousand yuan every month and you help me buy a house. Isn't this illegal? Is it reasonable? First of all, step completed. The second step, Lao Jiao and the others signed a loan agreement with us. They lent us the money. They just agreed that the loan would be paid in installments every month. As a guarantee for the loan, we would pay each loan. The other items of the corresponding house are given to Lao Jiao and the others. Isn't this illegal? Is it reasonable? Lou Ligon drew a big circle, including the 3 circles A, B, and C. Lou Ligon knocked on the whiteboard and said, This is a complete closed loop. It seems to be one thing, but when taken apart, it is two things that are incompatible with each other. Which of these three people broke the law? Which one is not doing his own normal business? The other three people suddenly realized. Tan Shahen said, "This really works. The most important thing is that Lao Chiao and the others are financial institutions. Those who buy a house can rest assured that they sign an agreement with them. They don't have to worry about paying for the house for several years. In the end, the house will be gone after getting it." He put it in Lao Chiao's hands, corresponding to the contract. As for us, the other terms are for Lao Chiao and the others, not for the home buyers. We have no risk. Once the supply is cut off, the other terms for this house will be lifted and it will return to our hands. Genius, this design, Mr. Liu. I must flatter you, you will get us all out of trouble this time, Ying Ying said. It's useless to flatter me. It depends on whether the home buyers will accept it or not, Lu Ligan said. Accept it, I guarantee they will accept it. They have all left their phone numbers. I will make a call right away and ask those under investigation. Ying Ying said, stood up and went out. Thank you Daos Hung 123. Feng Zhongli. Wu Family Courtyard, Jinwu Lanji's monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1386. Lu Ligan returned to his office, sat down, called Mr. Chiao and told him his thoughts. Bingo, Mr. Chiao shouted on the phone, and then asked, Mr. Lu, you in Hangzhou have already done this. No one has done this, but I want to do it, Lu Ligan said. I just want to ask, is it feasible? Perfect, it's so easy to operate. You're just using me to change hands and avoid policy risks, right? Mr. Chiao knew the fishiness of it as soon as he heard it, and asked. Lu Ligan was right. I am willing to be used by you, and it is completely legal and compliant. In this case, Mr. Lu, I will come to Hangzhou tomorrow morning, and we will resolve this matter quickly, Mr. Chiao said. Lu Ligan said yes. After hanging up Mr. Chiao's call, Tan Shahen and Ying Ying walked in. Lu Ligan told them that Mr. Chiao had no problem here and he would come over tomorrow. Great, Ying Ying shouted. She then told Lu Ligan, I randomly called 8 people here, and all 8 people said that if this is the case, then they will definitely buy it. The 3 people looked at each other and laughed. Lu Ligan and Ying Ying said, you go home now and have a good sleep. Starting tomorrow, you will be in a state of combat readiness. This time you will be the commander-in-chief. Ying Ying said yes. She looked at Lu Ligan and asked, I will rush back from Nanjing as soon as you give the order. I have been busy for so many days and I don't even have a reward. Lu Ligan smiled and said, okay, what do you want to eat? I want to go to Tuxiang Garden, Ying Ying said. Okay, now go back to bed and enjoy Tuxiang Jiayuan at night, Lu Ligan said. At noon the next day, Mr. Chiao arrived. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen went to the airport to pick him up. They came with Mr. Chiao and his assistant. After picking them up, Lu Ligan and the others drove directly to Tuxiang. Ying Ying and Lao Tan were waiting for them in Tuxiang Garden, where everyone decided on the matter. Mr. Chiao told them that the model you mentioned is currently operating without any problems and there are no regulatory restrictions in this area. However, what I am worried about is that this will not last long. Why? Lu Ligan asked. Other companies will follow suit. If you think about such a good thing, who wouldn't do it right away? Your real estate company has this need, and our trust, asset management, and factoring companies will also have this need. In this way, the superiors will immediately notice this matter and know that what they are actually doing is zero down payment business, and they will definitely issue regulations to stop it, Mr. Chiao said. Is that risky? Tan Shahen asked. There is no risk now. As long as we turn raw rice into cooked rice, there will be no problem. All regulations and notices will be implemented from the date they are issued. Those that are not retroactive will not be retroactive. Once the regulations are issued, they will definitely not be able to. We have continued, but there is nothing the higher authorities can do about what has been done. After all, when we were doing it, there were no restrictive regulations, and they could only ask us to make a smooth transition. How to make the transition? It's just to transition to a bank. Isn't this also your ultimate goal? Mr. Chiao said. Tan Shahen and the others understood. Mr. Liu, I've thought about this. You can also increase your income, Mr. Chiao said. What income? Lu Ligan asked. You can set up a deposit of 20,000 yuan. For those who want to buy a house, a 20,000 yuan deposit is not a big problem for them, but if you add up, it will be a big income for you. Also, there is an advantage to having a deposit. That is, if the customer's money does not arrive in time for a month or two, you can use the deposit to make up for it, which is beneficial to both parties, Mr. Chiao said. Lu Ligan looked at Tan Shahen and Ying Ying. They both said that this problem should not be big. Lu Ligan thought for a while, and he told Tan Shahen and Ying Ying that what Mr. Chiao said was very reasonable. It can be done, but it cannot be done with great fanfare. Indeed, if there are more companies doing it, it will mean that various control measures will be implemented. If it goes empty, the higher UPS will definitely stop it, so I think our marketing strategy needs to change this time. How to change? Ying Ying asked. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen said, you immediately inform the general managers of each branch that they must rush back to Hangzhou today. No matter what you are doing, stop it first. I think this time we will do it for all companies, do it together and finish it at once. By the time others react, we have already closed the stall. Lao Chiao, I will do it in several cities together, can you cooperate? Mr. Chiao said yes, no problem. Lu Ligan then said to Ying Ying, we are going to change the method of this event. For the original dozen or so people, you let them continue walking from house to house tomorrow. We will cast the net wider and include those who want to buy a house immediately. First find all the customers in the city. Then, in the second step, this time, instead of separate sales offices, we find a place for centralized display. We gather the sand tables of each project here, and the sales staff are also gathered here. And then call those who want to buy a house one by one and ask them to come here. We will do it for 4 days, 1 week at most. Customers who want to buy a house, after viewing the house, let them choose a house on the spot and sign the agreement on the spot. Once the time has passed, everything will return to the original state. Before Tan Shahen and Ying Ying could speak, Mr. Chiao said, this is a good method. It is best if you can do it without anyone noticing. If you can't do it, we will wait for others to react. We have already finished it, and we will wait for them to start learning from it. It may be too late. Lu Ligan, Tan Shahen, and Ying Ying said, after the general managers of each branch arrive, no matter how late it is in the evening, we will hold a meeting and you will hand over all the tasks. From tomorrow on, each company will start to move, and Hangzhou will, just like every city, take the initiative and ask them to find potential customers from each city, giving everyone a week to find customers. On the 20th, I think it will be from September 20th to 26th, we will have a project promotion meeting, and all companies will attack together. Do you think this time is okay, old Chiao? Mr. Chiao said yes, I can have the text and personnel ready in 1 week. Well, we will use this week to find customers and prepare all the preliminary work. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen said, let's make it clear to each branch that after passing this village, this store no longer exists, no one should let me down. Tan Shahen said yes. They settled the matter over a meal. After dinner, Mr. Chiao and Lu Ligan said, Mr. Lu, it seems that I don't even have to go to the city. Take us to the airport and go back to Shenzhen. So urgent, Lu Ligan asked. You act vigorously and resolutely, but we can't let go, Mr. Chiao said with a smile. I will send you the template of the agreement between us and the template of the agreement between us and our customers tomorrow. After you read it, if there is anything question, we will have all the modifications completed tomorrow and the text will be delivered for printing. My preliminary staff will arrive at your branches 2 days in advance to coordinate. Lu Ligan said yes, thank you for the hard work, Lao Chiao. It's not hard to make money, Mr. Chiao said, and everyone laughed. That night, Lu Ligan and the bosses from each of his branches arrived. Everyone arrived at different times. They were still in the large box in Tuxianjiayuan. Everyone was having a meeting while eating and waiting for others. Tan Shahen arranged all the tasks. The bosses of each branch immediately called back and asked all their sales staff to get involved. Yao Fen sent the questionnaire designed by Ying Ying to various companies in the company, and each company started printing it overnight. Except for Ying Ying, Lu Ligan requested that the other bosses go back immediately tomorrow morning to personally supervise the formation and complete the tasks every day. Report the investigation status from various places, and at the same time, the venue must be secured. Lu Ligan and his entire company started to stir up action that night. Lu Ligan told everyone that they must be tight on the inside and loose on the outside. We were doing it in full swing internally, but externally, everyone should tighten their mouths and relax easily. Don't let it out. Everyone said yes. This event is uniformly named Zhejiang Jingxia Group XX Project Exhibition, and there are unified standards from the hanging of promotional slogans to the layout of the venue. As the venue in Hangzhou, Tan Shahen chose to place it upstairs in the dynamic zone, in the badminton hall of their badminton club. Sure enough, Mr. Chiao's people contacted Lu Ligan and his branches 2 days in advance. On the 19th, large teams of people arrived from Shenzhen with printed blank texts. Lu Ligan asked Ying Ying, have all the buyers been notified? Ying Ying and Lu Ligan said that they had all been notified and there would probably be many people coming tomorrow. Lu Lipol nodded. He went to take a look upstairs in the dynamic zone and saw that it was ready. The sand table of each sales office had been moved here, and each sales office had a sign saying internal decoration, closed for business, September 27th resumption of normal business notice. Tomorrow, the sales staff from each sales office will also gather here. Tonight, Ying Ying will hold a meeting for them all here. Lu Ligan saw that at one end of the entire badminton court were the sand tables for their 8 projects in Hangzhou. Next to the sand table was a long row of tables, which were for Mr. Chiao and his staff to sit. At the other end of the badminton hall, there are many folding chairs lined up in a row, and there are water fountains next to them. This is for people waiting to sign the agreement to sit in line. The whole process is that Lu Ligan and his sales staff are responsible for receiving and introducing each real estate project. If you need to go to the real estate site to see it, there are cars going to each project in the parking lot below. If it is full, you will leave. If you really want to buy it, the salesperson will take the person to Mr. Chiao's company's staff, or to the waiting area, where they will wait to sign the agreement and pay the deposit and the first month's mortgage payment. Starting from the second month, everyone will go to Shenzhen Stock Exchange to pay by themselves. At the end of each day, Mr. Chiao's staff will sign a loan agreement with Lu Ligan's company for each house that has been sold. This is a sub-agreement. Externally, there will be another one after the completion, which will be calculated. The general loan agreement can be disclosed to the public and can also be used to respond to the above inspections. This general agreement does not involve the sale of the house, it is just a formal mortgage loan agreement. Everything was ready. Lu Ligan looked around and felt that he was like a captain at the moment, standing on the bow of the ship, with the majestic sea below and the unknown future and destination in front of him. He didn't know if his future would be the stars and the sea, but he knew that spring would definitely be blooming there. He felt that the young version of Lu Ligan from Heiken was back. Thank you to the evergreen Emperor Yan for the reward of 2 fishes, half drunk and half awake, at 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you to the evergreen Emperor Yan, book friends 201806161225522946, Elber King, Tianying 1978, Just an Egg, Fan, and Deos Hung 123 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1387. Lu Ligan got up at around 6 o'clock. He went downstairs and walked to the gate of Huancheng North Road in the dynamic zone. The rolling shutters here were open and many merchants were still unloading goods. Lu Ligan spoke to the security guard standing at the door. I said hello, walked in, walked through the entire market, and walked to the gate of Stadium Road. Lu Ligan stood at the gate and took a look, then walked down the steps, crossed the Stadium Road in front of the gate, walked to the opposite side, passed through an unknown alley next to the Hangcheng department store, and arrived at Jesus Hall Lane. There is a White Deer Noodle House here. It was early in the morning and the noodle restaurant was already full of people. Fortunately, everyone was in a hurry for breakfast. Lu Ligan squatted at the door and smoked less than half a cigarette. There was a seat inside. Lu Ligan hurried in and put his cigarettes and lighter on the table. This was considered as grabbing the seat. He walked to the counter, ordered a bowl of fried pork liver noodles, added 1 egg and spicy, and after finishing his order, he went back to the seat occupied by cigarettes and lighters and sat down. China, I almost picked it up and smoked it. A middle-aged man sitting opposite, eating noodles, jokingly said to Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan smiled and said, just smoke it, you're welcome. As he said this, he took out a cigarette and handed it to the other party. The other party was embarrassed and quickly said it was just a joke. Lu Ligan said, come on, it's just a tube of cigarettes, you're so polite. The other person thanked him and took it. Lu Ligan took another one and handed it to another middle-aged man sitting next to the middle-aged man. The man was stunned. Lu Ligan said, the food was unevenly distributed. Better than killing. The other party laughed, thanked him quickly, took it, and clamped it to his ear. Lu Lepole handed another one to the young man sitting on his right. The young man looked at him and asked, if the food is not shared evenly, is it worth killing? He then laughed and took the cigarette. Just this one cigarette made the people at this table happy. They chatted enthusiastically while eating noodles. People who didn't know next to them would definitely think that they were here together. Lu Ligan's pork liver noodles arrived, and he ate them while they were still hot. After 2 or 3 bites, he was sweating profusely. The noodles here were really good, and it was worth walking all the way. The hot and spicy bowl of noodles made Lu Ligan feel like he had been in a sauna, but he felt really happy. When he stood up and walked back, his steps were much lighter. Walking back to the gate of Stadium Road in the dynamic zone, Lu Ligan became excited. He saw some people coming on bicycles, parked their cars in the parking lot, looked around, and then asked the people standing in 2s and 3s in the parking lot. After receiving a satisfactory answer, they stopped. Others asked the security guard, who also gave them a satisfactory answer. Lu Ligan looked at his watch. He hadn't arrived yet at 8 o'clock. No need to ask, these people must have come for him, not to the M-Zone. The exhibition started at 9 o'clock, and the M-Zone also opened at 9 o'clock. The rolling shutters at the gate, it is only about 1 meter high now, and only people inside can bend down to get in and out. From this door to the 3rd floor, you must go through the gate. Go to the 3rd floor and go all the way to the end. There is a door there. When you walk out of this door, you will see the gymnasium in front of you. At the entrance of the gymnasium, there is a banner for the exhibition. On both sides, flower baskets were arranged. It's still early, the market's gate has not yet opened, and many people are sitting on the steps at the gate. This time, Lou Ligon and the others were afraid of attracting their colleagues, so they didn't even put up a guide board on the first floor, let alone put up a slogan. Zhejiang Jinxiu is 4 dazzling words. As long as their colleagues see it, they can't say anything. I'll take a look upstairs to see what they're doing. Anyway, everyone who came to participate this time was notified by phone one by one. At the end of the notification, they did not forget to say, when you arrive at the entrance of the dynamic zone, if you can't find it, ask the security guard. Hagen has deployed extra security guards in the parking lot before and after today. They also had a meeting in advance, so they were very busy today and knew what was going on the 3rd floor. Lou Ligon walked up the steps, took out his cigarette, and gave it to the 2 security guards at the door. Then he bent down and entered the market through the half-open rolling shutter. He walked through the entire market and arrived at the gate of Huanchen North Road, where he found the parking lot. There were already a lot of people at the venue. Lou Ligon grinned, feeling confident. Lu Li went upstairs and unexpectedly found that the door of Zhang Chen's office was open. Before he could get closer, he heard the voices of Tan Shehen, Ying Ying, and Lao Tan talking inside, and together with the air conditioning in the room, they came out of the door. He walked in and saw 4 people, Tan Shehen, Lao Tan, Ying Ying, and Zhang Chen, sitting at the conference table having breakfast. Lu Ligan asked Zhang Chen, "Why did you come so early?" "I was woken up by this bastard." Zhang Chen pointed at Tan Shehen opposite with his chopsticks, and Tan Shehen laughed. Lao Tan asked Lu Ligan to sit down for breakfast. Lu Ligan said, "I have already eaten, Bailu noodle house, fried pork liver noodles, add 1 egg and spicy, it tastes great." "It turns out you were eating alone." "I thought you were still sleeping," Old Tan said with a smile. "If he can still sleep today, he will be a saint," Tan Shehen said. "Mr. Lu, have you seen that someone is already here?" Ying Ying called. Lu Ligan smiled and said, "Yes, there are a lot of people coming to the front and back doors. It seems that our house can be sold very well today. I will take a shower first. A bowl of noodles makes me feel like I am being steamed sauna." "This is what happens when you eat alone," Zhang Chen scolded. Lu Ligan laughed and reached out to grab the fried dough sticks on the table. Tan Shehen hit his hand with a chopstick and cursed, "Aren't you already full? You even added an egg to make it spicy." It's almost 9 o'clock, and hundreds of people have already arrived at the front and back doors. The business owners who come to work in the dynamic zone are all wondering, what day is it today, and why are there so many customers so early in the morning? This shocked them too. When the door opened, they were surprised to find that these people entered the market and went straight to the 3rd floor. What was going on the 3rd floor today? Curious, they followed up to take a look. Some business owners couldn't come down after seeing it. It turned out that houses were being sold on the 3rd floor today, and the houses were being sold with 0 down payment. They also started to choose a house. Tan Shehen looked at the huge crowds of people in the entire badminton hall, and she almost cried. How long had it been since she had seen such a lively house sales scene? She walked to the row of tables to take a look, and saw that everyone in Mr. Chiao's company was busy. There were beads of sweat on their foreheads, and she had no time to wipe them. There was a queue in front of everyone. On the contrary, they prepared it for home buyers, but there were not many people in the rows of chairs. Tan Shehen understood that in the face of such a scene, whoever has the patience to sit there and wait will definitely end up in the queue. Tan Shehen walked around and discovered a strange phenomenon. She found that several drivers from the company were sitting there smoking and chatting. She asked them, "Why didn't you bring the guests to the scene?" The drivers told her that no one was going to the scene. "Mr. Tan, we couldn't just make a trip with an empty car. No one is going to the scene? Tan Shahan felt strange. People nowadays don't even need to see the house when buying a house. She couldn't help but walk to the queue and ask those in line, none of you want to see the house on site? People queuing up talked about it. Some said, you don't need to see your house in Jinxiu, Zhejiang, we can trust it. Some said, you can go see it after you buy it. Others said, I'll dig the foundation for your building, I'm sure it's too familiar. I couldn't afford it before, but now it's good. Now I can afford it? Just buy it. What else are you looking at? Yes, someone continued what he said, I received a call from your sales lady 2 days ago, saying that the event will start today. Our whole family had already gone to see it the day before yesterday, and we were already optimistic about it. Tan Shahan kept nodding, she understood. After a busy day, the first battle was won. At the end of the night, Mr. Chiao and his company counted the corresponding contracts that needed to be signed with Lu Ligan and the others. There were 837 contracts in total. Mr. Chiao's assistant, who was leading the team, came to the meeting. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan laughed, their hands were already sore from signing so many more. Sign the autographs. After the autographs are signed, wine and beauties will be served, and all your people will go. Lu Ligan told them, and the other party cheered, knowing that it was dinner and KTV. A girl shouted, Mr. Lu, what should we do? Everyone laughed. Lu Ligan scratched his head and said, well, take a look and see if there is anyone you like among our young men. If you like him, take him with you. If not, if you don't dislike me for being old, I will accompany you. Everyone yelled oh, which made the girl blush instantly. The next day, more people came to buy houses. Many of them were people who had already bought houses the day before. They went back and told their relatives and friends. These relatives and friends originally went out to do business together to make a living, and they were all in similar situations. After hearing this, he said there was such a good thing, so he asked them to come here today. There are still many people who don't believe this is true. They came here yesterday with the intention of taking a look. After arriving, they found out that this is really what happened. Today they quickly brought the deposit and the first month's payment. The mortgage payment has arrived. In the last 2 days, the number of people buying houses began to decrease, but Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan found that many of their colleagues appeared among them, and they knew in their hearts that the news had spread, but it's okay, you haven't figured out how yet. Come on, we're ready to close up and call it a day. Once you do this kind of thing, you can't do it a second time. This exhibition was a great success. In Hangzhou alone, Lu Ligan and the others sold more than 5,300 houses, and a total of more than 11,500 houses nationwide. As expected, just as Mr. Chiao expected, more than 2 weeks after Lu Ligan and his friends ended their activities, someone already understood what they were doing and followed their lead. They also started doing it at the housing fair and were arrested on the spot. Stop. Then, the Housing Authority, the People's Bank of China, and the Finance Office came to Lu Ligan's company to investigate. After the investigation, they could not come to a conclusion. It was unclear what their behavior was. Everyone felt that they shouldn't do this, but why not? It should be done this way, but I can't explain why. Regardless of whether it was Lu Ligan's Zhejiang Jinxiu or Mr. Chiao's Angzhen Trust, they did not violate relevant laws and regulations when they did this. The result of the discussion was to write a report and submit it to the superior. More than a month later, the People's Bank of China and the Ministry of Housing and Urban Rural Development jointly issued a document strictly prohibiting zero down payment and various disguised zero down payment house sales in various places. Such activities are definitely against the rules. As for Lu Ligan and Mr. Chiao, because the incident occurred before the two departments issued a joint document, the relevant departments seem to have tacitly allowed them to fend for themselves, but they should pay attention to monitor the possible risks. Who will monitor? Have no idea. Anyway, after the evaluation, everyone concluded that there is actually not much risk. The apes on both sides of the strait can't stop crying, and the boat has passed the 10,000 mountains. Li Yong called Lu Ligan and told him, "You slippery man, don't think that I don't know what you are doing." Lu Ligan smiled proudly and recited the 2 lines above. Li Yong scolded, "You kid, don't be so proud. Don't fall into my hands. If you fall into my hands, I will crush you to death." Lu Ligan laughed and asked, "What, Li Yong, now you have changed your position? Instead of crushing me to death, you are going to trample me to death? Isn't your weight enough? Go away." Li Yong cursed 3 words in a row on the phone. "Thank you Feng Zhongli. Don't be too serious, see the original intention without seeing the future." Daos Hung 123, Jinwu Lanji, Old 2 Old 3, Book Friend 1407191213087009's monthly pass. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1388. Lu Ligan and the others sold more than 10,000 houses and achieved a significant result, especially in such miserable days. But Tan Shehen was happy for a while, but then she couldn't be happy anymore. She knew that the sale of more than 10,000 houses did not mean that their money was flowing, but that their company's funds would be tightened across the board. If you go down, you will have to live a hard life with careful calculation. The reason is very simple, because after all, this is not a mortgage made in a bank. If they make a mortgage in a bank, the bank will give them the full payment of a house. If there are more than 10,000 houses, that is more than 100 billion. Life should not be easy. But now, this part of the money is being cushioned by their company. Although it doesn't need to be so much, it is still a huge expense. Just relying on the deposit of more than 200 million, and the stable monthly payment the tens of millions collected are far from enough. Some of the houses sold have been built, which is equivalent to helping them sell inventory, and some of them have not yet been built. These projects require continued investment. Tan Shehen calculated that with the company's existing funds and monthly income, there would be no problem in maintaining the company's normal operations, but it would be a bit stretched to launch new projects, and it would be even more wishful thinking to acquire new land. This kind of life will probably continue until 3 to 5 years later. This group of customers will gradually turn into mortgage customers of the bank. The bank will pay them the house payment. At that time, their life will be easier. Fortunately, under such a general environment, Tan Shehen's desire to acquire land was not high, and they were not at the point where they would immediately run out of land. The most important thing is that for their entire company, while others are still struggling with sales, their company has almost reached the point where they have no houses to sell. In this way, overall, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Lu Ligan walked into Tan Shehen's office. Tan Shehen told Lu Ligan her entire idea. She reminded Lu Ligan that in 2 years, at least 2 years, you have to put away your desire to be successful in the land auction market. Wait until the second half of next year, after the Dragon family opens, and if your judgment is correct, big funds will come in. How can we do that? We are building houses. How can we do it if we don't take land for 2 years, Lu Ligan said. I have also thought about the addiction of raising cards, but unfortunately my wallet does not allow it, Brother Tan Shehen and Lu Ligan said. I'll find a way. As long as the wallet is still there will always be a way to make it bulging, Lu Ligan said. Tan Shehen looked at Lu Ligan and felt that he was dazzled by the victory. This was too frivolous to say. If you have a wallet, you can make it bulging. When you are in the troupe, you have a wallet like Blind Lu. Did you let it drum? Okay, wait for the good news, Tan Shehen said, raising her hand impatiently and driving Lu Ligan out of her office. More than an hour later, Lu Ligan walked in again with a smile on his face. Tan Shahen looked up at him and asked angrily. Purse full? It's full, Lu Ligan said with a smile. Is 1.5 billion enough? Tan Shahen opened her eyes wide and looked at Lu Ligan, wondering what he was doing. Lu Ligan told her, and Tan Shahen also became happy. This was really a good way and a simple way. Lu Ligan's method is very simple. From the more than 10,000 houses that have been sold this time, he pledges part of the house's accounts receivable and applies to MSCAI of Fubon Financial Holdings and others for 1.5 billion. Loans in RMB. Fubon Financial Holdings money was disbursed in the form of entrusted loans in the name of Taiwan-funded enterprises in mainland China through Mr. Chiao and Essence Trust Superior Bank, Shenzhen Development Bank. For these houses, he had already given them to Mr. Chiao's Angzhen Trust, and Mr. Chiao and the others were collecting the monthly mortgage payments. For MSCAI and the others, the risk was controllable, so they gave them a very good deal. Low, annualized interest of 7%, for a period of 5 years, and can be repaid in batches. In this way, this part of the mortgaged house can be released in batches at that time. MSCAI and the legal persons of their Taiwan-funded enterprises in mainland China will arrive in Shenzhen next Monday. We will go there on Sunday afternoon. Lu Ligan talked to Tan Shahen, and Tan Shahen agreed. Just over 2 weeks after Lu Ligan's exhibition, the real estate fair in Hangzhou, which had been suspended in the first half of the year, was finally resumed. Of course Lu Ligan and the others had to attend. Both Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen believed that this was a real estate fair that was destined to be impossible for the salted fishes to turn over, but it was also the most relaxing real estate fair for them. The reason why it was easy was not only because Miss CAI and the others had already received their money, they have food in hand and don't panic. More importantly, their company has no houses to sell, so it doesn't matter whether they actually participate or not. Even if they participate, they have nothing to do and are destined to be just spectators. Sales Director Xiao Lu told them that either I would send the sales lady and salesman who are in love to each project, and let them go to the venue to fall in love. Tan Shahen looked at Lu Ligan and thought of his saying that as long as the wallet is still there will always be a way to make it bulging. Tan Shahen teased him. Mr. Lu, now that the housing fair is still going on, you can find a way for us to have houses to sell. Xiao Lu said, at least it gives us something to do. Lu Ligan said, okay, I will find a way. Tan Shahen and Xiao Lu looked at each other and laughed. You can figure this out, so why are you bragging? There were still 3 days before the opening of the real estate fair. Lu Ligan hurried into Tan Shahen's office and asked Tan Shahen, had the exhibition layout begun? It started the day before yesterday. What happened? Tan Shahen asked. Inform them to stop immediately. They need to change the plan and ask Xiao Lu to come over. By the way, call Zhang Chen to come over immediately. His help is urgently needed here, Lu Ligan said anxiously. Hey, what do you want to do? Tan Shahen picked up the phone and asked Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan ignored her, stepped back a few steps, retreated to the corridor, and shouted towards the end of the corridor, Old Tan, Old Tan. Old Tan walked out of his office, and Lu Ligan waved to him. Tan Shahen shook her head. She called Zhang Chen first and then Xiao Lu. Xiao Lu's office was in the row of houses behind. She ran over after receiving the call. Finally, Tan Shahen called the real estate fair and asked the person responsible for setting up the venue to stop and wait for orders. The 4 people sat down in Tan Shahen's office. Lu Ligan said, we will immediately change the plan and remove all other projects. This time, our exhibition will focus on promoting the Sky City and Zixi wetland projects. The other 3 people were all surprised. Tan Shahen asked, is it time to launch City in the Sky? The entire City in the Sky project has been deemed immature within their company and has been frozen. Even the more than 100 households that have paid for their houses have been refunded or replaced. The entire project is completely closed, and even tourists cannot enter. In this way, they can reduce their staff on duty by 2/3. So even for this exhibition, they didn't show City in the Sky. The Zixi wetland project is still an open space. Although the design drawings have been released and the construction application procedures have been completed, the construction has not even started. They have been pioneers in Hangzhou too many times. This time, according to Tan Shahens, the idea is that they wait and see in Zixi wetland first to see the overall situation before making any move. They don't want to regret it after building or selling. All three people looked at Lu Ligan. Lu Ligan said that tying the Zixi wetland project to the City in the Sky does not mean that the Zixi wetland project will start immediately, but that if the City in the Sky is mentioned, home buyers may feel that the Sky City is too far away from the main urban area. Nowadays, the media is hyping Zixi wetland, and the concept of Zixi wetland has almost become obsolete. We put the two projects together, emphasizing that Sky City is not far from Zixi wetland, giving people the illusion that the two projects are integrated, so that everyone will not feel that Sky City is too far. This lie of yours is a bit ridiculous, Lao Tan said. You said it's not far, but it's not far? When I actually went to take a look, I found that the City in the Sky is still a long way from Zixi wetland. Is the Zixi wetland between the main urban area of Hangzhou and the Sky City? Is it in the same direction? It's easy to handle if it is in the same direction. We have all the themes for the display, which is called the Twin Pearls in the west of Hangzhou, Lu said the Pole. The difference is 5 or 6 kilometers, but you are far enough apart, Tan Shahen said. China and Japan are separated by the Yellow Sea, and they are called a strip of water. Don't you think that strip of water is too wide? Lu Ligan asked. Tan Shahen scolded, you are really good at bullshitting. Yes, the more you talk about it, the happier you will be, Lu Ligan said. Don't worry about it. Not many people will really run to see where the Sky City is and where the Zixi wetland is. Trust me. Where does the confidence come from? Tan Shahen asked. Do you really think that Zhejiang Jingxiu is already a golden brand, and people don't need to go see it when buying a house? What will they accept if you give it to them? We don't sell houses, Lu Ligan said. If you don't sell the house, Mr. Lu, then what will we sell? Xiao Lu asked. Lu Ligan looked at Tan Shahen and said to Xiao Lu, Mr. Tan asked earlier, is it time to launch City in the Sky? Yes, it's not yet time. It will take another year at the earliest to wait for Zixi wetland. It's getting hot, projects are coming up one after another, sales are pretty good, and the time is ripe for the reopening of our City in the Sky. This time, whether it's the Zixi wetland project or the Sky City, we only book rooms, not sell them, for 20,000 yuan per room number, Lu Ligan said. Selling house numbers again? Haven't you suffered enough from selling house numbers in Sky City? Lao Tan shouted. This time, Lu Ligan said. Furthermore, the house numbers we sell this time are different from all other companies. That is, if you don't want it when the sale opens, we can refund you unconditionally. Can customers return it if they don't want it? Lao Tan asked. Yes, when the market opens in 1 year, the deposit can be refunded unconditionally without any reason, Lu Ligan said. Tan Shahen asked, then what are we doing? Why did you call me here? Zhang Chen walked in and asked. Lu Ligan smiled and said, rescuing a situation is like putting out a fire. Master, immediately come up with an exhibition plan that will brighten the blind people's eyes. I still have 3 days to get it out. Thanks to the little brother who eats fish, I don't know if anyone asks me, I read the book every day, and the little tin soldier for the reward. Thank you to Daoisan, Nan Hai Lang Jun, Zixi Zi, and book friends 201912170332388847 for your monthly votes. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1389. The housing fair has begun. This housing fair, from the organizer of the Hangzhou city government to the participating real estate developers and the media, everyone has no confidence and generally does not have much hope for the success of the fair. For local governments, they are most concerned about the success of the fair. What I'm worried about is that we don't want to hold another price increase meeting with lots of complaints. For real estate developers, if they have such an opportunity and participate in the event, they will be able to sell one more house than they have in their hands. They want to see the same situation as in previous years, when sales are booming and prices change day by day. Okay. The real estate fair was held in a lively manner. There were many people who came, no less than in previous years. But if I could sum up this real estate fair in one sentence, it would be that when the popularity is hot, when it is cold, transactions are concluded. Exhibitions are on sale, but exhibitions can be kept. The sales sign has gone, and the crowds are bustling. They are really all here to see the exhibition. There are very few people who actually want to buy a house. The only highlight of the entire housing fair was Lu Ligan's Zhejiang Jingxia booth. Every day, there was a long line of people waiting to book rooms and pay deposits. The bosses of other booths didn't know what was going on and came over to ask. Only to learn that Lu Ligan and his company can get an unconditional refund if the customer is not satisfied with the deposit at the time of opening. Everyone said that Boss Lu is crazy. How can this house be sold well? This is also the mentality of those waiting in line. In the past, Zhejiang Jingxiu, not to mention houses, even house numbers were hard to find. The record of a house number being resold at a price increase of RMB 100,000 was set by their company. Yes, there is such an opportunity now. It costs 20,000 yuan for a room number. Why not buy one quickly? With the house number in hand, when Sky City opens next year, if you want to buy a house, you can buy a house, and if you want to speculate, you can speculate on the number. A house number does not cost 100,000, but if you add 50,000 or 60,000, you will make a profit, right? If it really doesn't work, I was told that I can get an unconditional refund, so what loss will I have? If you miss this opportunity, wouldn't you be a fool? Zhejiang Jingxiu is also the boss of Zhejiang Real Estate. Almost everyone knows that they are not a company with 2 or 3 kittens. Their reputation is very good and they promise to refund unconditionally, so they will definitely refund unconditionally. The more people lined up in front of Lu Ligan's booth, the more people coming from behind would be attracted in. People have a herd mentality, so the things that so many people are grabbing must be good things. There were a row of tables in the booth, and 4 people were going through the booking procedures at the same time. 4 lines naturally formed in front of them. Each line got longer and longer. They were almost reaching the gate. There were people waiting in line. The team is still on the phone, telling their relatives and friends the news and asking them to come quickly. Pity other companies who want to follow up but dare not follow up. This unconditional refund is really terrible. Don't let it become a wasted effort. The money is collected and spent. If the house is not easy to sell, the room number still needs to be refunded unconditionally. What can you do to refund it? Each company's booth became deserted. Exhibitors came in and asked, "Can your deposit be refunded unconditionally?" After knowing that it wouldn't work, he left immediately and joined Lu Ligan's team. They were so angry that the bosses of other companies gathered together. Everyone said no, this bastard Lu Ligan couldn't do this. He was disrupting the market order and breaking industry rules. They elected 4 representatives to find the specific details of the housing fair. The handling unit, Hangzhou City Housing Authority, negotiated with Hangcheng Daily. The housing authority was also in a dilemma. He said, "You were the only one who refused to refund the deposit in the past. Home buyers came to us and asked us to help solve the problem. We refunded the deposit unconditionally. This is a good thing. There is no law or regulation that does not allow this. It shows that Zhejiang Jinxiu is confident in the quality of its houses, otherwise it would not dare to make such a promise. If you have confidence in the quality of your own house, you can also make such a promise. Why don't you dare to point fingers at others? It's really unreasonable. Come on, don't make trouble here. The organizers have said so. These real estate companies themselves can't find any reason why this can't work. They can only continue to watch the long queues at Lu Ligan's place, while they themselves can only watch from the side. Stare. Almost from the beginning to the end of the 5-day real estate fair, there was never a shortage of people queuing up at Lu Ligan's booth. The staff came to urge the venue to close, but the queue was still long. Some people said that his friend was preparing to open the booth tomorrow. Come again. Xiao Lu and the others had no choice but to tell everyone that those who were not scheduled today can go to our company to continue queuing tomorrow. The whole process of selling the house, from the housing fair to Kiyoshi Academy, lasted for more than a week, and then it slowly came to an end. It's been a long time since we got together. On the weekend, Li Yong went to Zhang Chen's office. The three of them were sitting and drinking. Li Yong looked sideways at Lu Ligan and cursed, "A profiteer is a profiteer. These stupid ideas come up one after another. Are you using the housing fair as a financing platform?" Lu Ligan laughed and asked, "Did you see it? On the first day they came to report, I could see it. It's just a matter of not telling the truth. Anyway, there is no policy that does not allow this." Li Yong said, "Be honest, how many room numbers did you sell this time?" Lu Ligan said, "More than 46,000. Li Yong was taken aback and cursed, "I'll go. Now, you, Lu Ligan, got an interest-free loan of more than 900 million. Lu Ligan chuckled. This is Lu Ligan's real purpose of only booking a house this time and not selling the house. The value of the house is too high. Under the current environment, it is difficult for home buyers to make up their mind to buy a house. So they will focus on 20,000 yuan. Make up your mind about the room number. Encourage more people to buy house numbers. After a year, when Sky City opens, if you want a house, that's the best. There are plenty of houses there anyway. If you don't want a house, and the price of the house number has not gone up, then I will return 20,000 yuan to you unconditionally. It seems that there is no loss. In fact, your 20,000 yuan is equivalent to giving Lu Ligan and others a year in vain." Li Yong was right. Lu Ligan indeed received a 1-year interest-free loan of more than 900 million yuan with just this one move, which greatly reduced his company's total capital costs. When other companies woke up and began to require refundable deposits, home buyers also learned to be smart. This trick was no longer unusual and no one was very interested in it. After winning 2 consecutive victories, Lu Ligan and his entire company were filled with a relaxed and cheerful atmosphere. Everyone felt very happy. Everyone looked at each other with smiles on their faces. Indeed, not only the company, everyone's wallet bulged, and everyone's personal wallet also bulged, making it difficult for them not to laugh. Lu Ligan is not a stingy person. Everyone thought that this year would be a tough year, especially those in the sales department. At the beginning of the year, they were still worried about whether they would be laid off this year and how they would live. This gave them a taste of sweetness. Lu Ligan told them that this means the big river has water and the small river is full. This summer, which is almost over, has been a cold and bitter summer for most real estate companies in Hangzhou, but for Lu Ligan and others, their mood is just like the weather outside. After finishing these 2 things, Xiao Lu and his entire sales department seemed to have nothing to do. Lu Ligan and Tan Shahan simply asked them to divide into 2 shifts, one for 10 days, to go to Sanyaban Muishan Resort Hotel. Treat them to a vacation. After the housing fair, the Hangzhou land auction also took place. This time, a total of 5 pieces of land were listed. Lu Ligan and his company won 3 of them. One Piece was fought all the way with Vank. In the end, Vank failed, and there was still One Piece left, which was with China Resources. After more than 50 rounds of bidding, Lu Ligan and the others finally forced out China Resources. At this point, both the domestic real estate giant Vank and the real estate giant China Resources moving north from Hong Kong have recognized Zhejiang Jingxiu's position in Hangzhou real estate. Hangzhou real estate has since entered the era of tripartite confrontation. It was at this time that Mr. Chiao brought a team of more than a dozen people to Hangzhou and stayed at Lu Ligan's hotel in Dahuayuan. Once he checked in, he never left. Mr. Chiao and Lu Ligan said that the time has come. When Mr. Chiao said that the time was ripe, he meant that the time window for Lu Ligan's company to go public in Hong Kong had opened. They came this time to make the entire listing plan for Lu Ligan's company. The team that came included people from Hong Kong accounting firms and law firms, as well as relevant people from the stock exchange. Tan Shahen sent Yao Fen and the financial director of the group company to work with Mr. Chiao and the others. The goals of both parties are very clear, that is, in the second half of next year, Zhejiang Jingxiu will strive to be listed on the main board of Hong Kong and become the first company in Zhejiang province. Real estate companies listed in Hong Kong. In their battles with listed companies such as Vank and China Resources, both Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen have realized that if they do not have the support of a huge financial market behind them, and do not have enough financing methods and the ability to raise funds, the power of Zhejiang Jingxiu is too weak. In the long run, it is likely to follow the old path of Nandu. Zhejiang Jingxiu will become Vank Jingxiu or China Resources Jingxiu, and City in the Sky will become the second Liangzhu. This is something Lu Ligan and Tan Shahen cannot accept in any case. Tan Shahen feels that she is destined to be the protagonist. How is it possible? The curtain opens and she is just a supporting role. What Tan Shahen thinks about herself at this time is actually her relationship with Lu. The two poles fit together, which is their entire Zhejiang Jingxiu. Lu Ligan and Mr. Chiao said, "Old Chiao, even if it is a bloody road, you have to help me fight it out." For Lu Ligan, he wants to go public on the Hong Kong main board. Another private thought is that his subordinates have followed him to dominate the world for so many years. It is time to change the company. In fact, he only owns the shares. Yes, transforming into a listed company will also provide a way out for everyone. Thank you for the reward from Half Drunk and Half Awake, ranked third from top to bottom, 2 fishes one above the other, and 3 o'clock in the middle of the night. Thank you for your monthly votes from Chengfeng Palang 26, Lao Chen Tang, Elba King, Su Mings Ray, Zipanjiang 1, Book Friends 202012222103227342, and Daos Hung 123. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1390. Every specialty store has already carried winter clothes, and all summer clothes have been returned to the factory. Zhang Chen asked Zhao Jingjing to count the numbers, especially for the specialty stores in East China that they directly developed. Zhang Chen wanted to know the overall situation after the franchise fee was refunded. How about it? Zhao Jingjing walked into Zhang Chen's office with a stack of reports. Zhang Chen told her to ask Su Qiaoxin and Xiaoli to come over. Zhao Jingjing turned around and walked back to the door, shouting outside, "Xiaoli, Xiao Li." Xiaoli ran over. Zhao Jingjing called again, "Qiaoxin, Qiaoxin." Su Qiaoxin responded from upstairs, "Coming, coming." Zhang Chen stood up, walked to the conference table and sat down. Zhao Jingjing gave him the report and told him that I would print 2 more copies and give them to them. Zhang Chen agreed. Zhao Jingjing turned around and walked out, and almost bumped into Xiaoli, who ran in at the door. They both yelled, and Zhao Jingjing patted Xiaoli on the shoulder and went out. Su Qiaxin also came in and asked Zhang Chen, "Boss, do you want to have a meeting?" "You can listen to the matter about domestic sales," Zhang Chen said. "Then can I use your computer?" "I'm chatting with Jerry," Su Qiaxin said. Zhang Chen said, "Yes, you can use it." Su Qiaxin walked to Zhang Chen's desk and sat down, stood up, sat down again, leaned back on the chair, and shouted, "Xiaoli, this boss's chair is very comfortable. Do you want to sit down?" Zhang Chen and Xiaoli both laughed. Xiaoli said, "You continue to have fun, I'll still sit here." Su Qiaxin made an OK gesture. She opened MSN on Zhang Chen's computer, entered her account and password, logged in, and opened her laptop at the same time, preparing to chat with Jerry and record what Zhang Chen and the others were talking about. "Matter?" Zhang Chen scolded, "You can do two things at once. More than that, it can be used in three ways." Su Qiaxin said, "My favorite thing to do is to sit on the bed in winter, listen to music with headphones on, watch TV, and have a book on my lap." Zhang Chen and Xiaoli laughed again. Zhao Jingjing walked in and asked, "What are you laughing at?" "I discovered something strange." Xiaoli pointed at Su Qiaxin. Zhao Jingjing said, "Her. I've long seen this strange." She gave Xiaoli a copy of the report in her hand, walked over, gave a copy to Su Qiaxin, and walked back to the conference table to sit down. Zhao Jingjing and Zhang Chen said that after the franchise fee was refunded, sales did not drop, but increased in some places. "It seems that what we were worried about, that without the franchise fee, they would sell other companies' products, has not happened. I don't dare at all. If they sell other companies' products, they will be defrauded of the franchise fee again, and they will also risk being revoked by us," Xiaoli said. "I have also asked about several places where sales have increased, without the franchise fee. They feel that selling at 40% or 30% off can still generate a gross profit of 70 to 80%. Now that they have reduced the discount, sales have increased." "Is there any reason for the lower exchange rate?" Zhang Chen asked. "There is this factor," Xiaoli said. "Anyway, I am worried that the exchange rate will exceed 10%, so I will find a way to sell everything I can, even if the discount is lower." "What's the exchange rate now?" Zhang Chen asked Zhao Jingjing. "There is no supermarket, the highest is 8.9, Zhao Jingjing said. "If the reduced inventory is converted into money, have you calculated how much it would be?" Zhang Chen asked. "More than 34 million, Zhao Jingjing said. "Then we can earn at least half," Xiaoli said. "How could it be possible? How did you settle this account?" Su Qiaxin shouted over there. Xiaoli said, "For all the products in stock, even if we sell them in our own stores in the second year, we will get a 40% discount when they are launched. This is equivalent to a 40% discount. In addition, not all the inventory can be sold out. Yes, some of them have been in stock for 5 or 6 years. They are taken out every year and cannot be sold every year, which makes us hate it." "I understand," you continue, Su Qiaxin said. "So, even if we refund the franchise fee, it's still a good deal?" Zhang Chen asked. "If you calculate it this way, it's a good deal," Zhao Jingjing said. Zhang Chen said with a wry smile, "I didn't know how to settle accounts at the beginning. I was confused. In order to collect the franchise fee, I raised the exchange rate to attract people. In the end, I shot myself in the foot." "No, Mr. Zhang, you are wrong to say that. The situation at that time was different from now," Xiaoli said. "We were poor at that time. The franchise fee was collected by the general agent and the second and third level agents below. We collected tens of millions, which gave us money immediately. Without this money, how could our factory develop so fast?" "What you said is right," Zhang Chen said. "It is indeed the case." Zhang Chen and Zhao Jingjing said, Xiao Li worked as a salesperson at Sijiking at that time. She knew best. Indeed, if we didn't have the money at that time, we wouldn't be able to afford the store on Yan'an Road, nor would we be able to annex your Kuning garment factory. Yes, look at it now, this money was just a small sum. At that time, it was our lifeblood. I remember that time, Xiao Zhao heard that you spent more than 1 million to buy a specialty store. In fact, she was scared. But she quietly told me, Xiaoli, there is no other way, we can only develop more franchise stores to get the money back, Xiaoli told them. Zhang Chen and Zhao Jingjing both nodded. But now, I agree with Mr. Zhang's statement that this franchise fee has indeed pinched us in turn, especially the exchange rate, which puts too much pressure on us. Those who have 100% exchange, I can guarantee that, you must die, Xiao Li said. A lot of them have died. Nanfan and Elegance were so famous in the past few years, but now they are all dead, Zhang Chen said. Mr. Zhang, interrupt, Su Qiaxin shouted, this damn Jerry asked me if our production capacity can be improved. Jessica said that the products we produce are of good quality. If possible, they would like to release more, orders are coming to us. Okay, Zhang Chen said. No, boss, the factory is very busy now. You just said it's okay without even thinking about it, Su Qiaxin asked. Yes, you can. It's no problem if you tell him, Zhang Chen said. There seems to be no room to expand the workshop in the factory, right? Zhao Jingjing was also a little confused and asked Zhang Chen. There is no need to expand, Zhang Chen said, I have an idea, that is, we will hold a meeting immediately to refund all the franchise fees of all general agents and reduce the exchange rate. Zhao Jingjing was shocked when she heard this and shouted, retreat completely? That costs more than 10 million. Yes, refund everything, Zhang Chen said, I know it's more than 10 million, but if we don't refund it, there will be no way to reduce the exchange rate. We will be under increasing pressure to reduce the exchange rate. The reduced inventory should be hundreds of millions, not counting that. In this case, the domestic sales part of the factory can reduce production by at least 20%, and this 20% of production capacity will be released. If I know it, I can make target products, Su Qiaxin shouted. Zhang Chen said yes. Another main reason is to leave a way out for Li Wei and the others. According to the current development speed, it won't be long before Li Wei and the others' online sales will definitely conflict with the general agent. Xiaoli thought for a moment and said, I agree with Mr. Zhang. I have sold clothes myself. I think Li Wei's e-commerce is the most cost-effective sales model for us. If they cooperate with, if there is a conflict between the general agent and the general agent, in my opinion, I would rather sacrifice the general agent. After several months of development, Li Wei's e-commerce department can now do more than 1.8 million sales a month. Moreover, it has established a large customer base. People who sell clothes online are not. There are many, and their brands are attractive. It can be said that they are the #1 clothing brand on Debo.com. The workmanship of their products is also good, and customers who receive their clothes are very satisfied and write many kind words to them. Now, they have not only one Gongshui, but dozens like Gongshui online. In this way, there are regular customers who buy their clothes every month. However, the difference between them and Gongshui is that they are happy to communicate with customer service. I also agree with the boss's statement, Su Qiaxin said. You agree, you all agree, don't you feel bad about having to spend so much money? When I pay, my hands will shake, more than 10 million, this will make me cry, Zhao Jingjing explained. If you think about the hundreds of millions of inventory reductions, you will laugh, Zhang Chen said. I can't help but laugh. I can see every penny when the money is sent out. The inventory is piled up in the warehouse and I can't see it, Zhao Jingjing said. Xiaoli hugged Zhao Jingjing and said, then I will remind you every day and tell you that we saved money again today. I'm here to tell you. Su Qiaxin came over and said to Zhao Jingjing, I'm here to tell you how many more orders we have added. Where do we go out and come in here? You can finally balance it in your mind, right? That's pretty much it, Zhao Jingjing said. Okay, Xili, you first go to Hidongmei and Ma Ya and tell them what we mean and see what they think. I estimate that the most difficult thing for them to deal with is their relationship with the people below. Zhang Chen said to Xiao Li, and Xiao Li said yes. I have never sold clothes, no, I have sold them on Dibao.com. Su Qiaxin said, have you ever thought about this question? What's the problem? Xili asked. Why did we develop a general agent? Below the general agent, there are second and third level agents. That's because otherwise, our clothes would have no way to go to those places. Unless we go to open stores across the country, otherwise our clothes would be, it will not reach the hands of consumers, Su Qiaxin said. So, Xili asked. It's different now. Now, as long as people in a certain town, in a certain county, in a certain province see our clothes online and place an order, we can send them to them. This means that we have already, you can go to those places. The more internet users there are in the future, do you think the role of these agents will be smaller? They are all directly from the manufacturer to the customer, Su Qiaxin said. That's right, you are such a weirdo. I didn't expect that you would find an idea after looking at the problem, Xili shouted. Xili and Zhang Chen looked at each other, and both nodded. They felt that Xili was right. This e-commerce is about eliminating the middle links, omitting the wholesalers and retailers in the middle, and facing consumers directly. But it seems that conflicts between Li Wei and the general agents, including the agents at all levels below, will come sooner or later, and they need to prepare early. Thank you for the reward of 2 fishes, 1 up and 1 down, at about 3 o'clock in the middle of the night when I was only 48 years old. Thank you Maplebridge 001, Feng Zhongli. Feng Dongxiukan, Daos Hung 123's monthly ticket. Thanks for all the votes and reading. I wish you all good health. The Pentium Era, South to North. Author, Mei Shi Niang. Chapter 1391. Target's supplementary order arrived on the same day as their sample clothes. It was for next year's spring and summer clothes. Ordinary customers rarely do this. After the sample clothes are sent out, they have to wait for Zhang Chen and the others to receive them. I sent the printed sample and checked it and found that there is no problem. The order will be placed after the sample is sealed. Zhang Chen and Su Qiaxin understood that the reason why Target broke the rules this time was because of the long-term cooperation between the two parties. The other party had confidence in their production capacity and product quality, and they were in a hurry to get the goods. This allowed them to produce sealed samples. When the time comes, decide on the auxiliary ingredients first to save time. The most important thing is that this matter must have been decided by Jessica herself. Su Qiaxin walked into Zhang Chen's office with the sample clothes and the translated contract. Zhang Chen stood up and said to her, "Let's go, I will go to the factory with you and meet your dam Zhao's Higang." Su Qiaxin laughed. The two of them went downstairs and arrived at the parking lot. Zhang Chen asked Su Qiaxin, "Didn't you get your driver's license?" Su Qiaxin nodded and said, "I got it. Are you with me?" Su Qiaxin giggled, "It took 3 exams to pass the exam. I keep it in my bag every day." "Why, can it ward off evil spirits?" Zhang Chen asked. Su Qiaxin said yes. Zhang Chen said, "Okay, you will drive today." Su Qiaxin was startled and shouted, "Boss, I have never driven on the street." "Then are you really prepared to keep your driver's license in your bag forever and watch others drive?" Zhang Chen said, "Don't be nagging, I'm more than enough to be your master, what are you afraid of?" "Okay, boss, then when you see danger, apply the brakes." Zhang Chen laughed loudly and cursed, "Do you think I am your coach's coach car and I also have brakes here?" The two got into the car. Suki Oxen touched the steering wheel and sighed. Boss, do you really want me to drive it? I originally wanted to rent a Popuzang when I was free. When there was no one on the road in the middle of the night, I asked Xiao Sheng to drive with me. When will you learn that? If you want to drive well, you have to be more courageous. If nothing happens, just remember it. If you encounter any emergency along the way, hit the guardrail, hit the tree, hit the isolation belt, etc. Never bump into people, understand? Zhang Chen said. Didn't the car crash? Suki Oxen asked. Zhang Chen scolded, are you stupid? It doesn't matter if the car crashes. Just fix it. But this is an A8. It's the A18. It's also a car. Is there anything that can't be repaired? Zhang Chen said, anyway, at your speed, even if it hits the isolation belt, the people in our car will be fine. Just be careful and don't hit it, just reach the pedestrians. Okay, I understand, boss. Suki Oxen said, but she became nervous and looked pale as she sat there. Zhang Chen looked at her and laughed. I didn't expect that you are also afraid. Aren't you fearless? I'm scared. I'm about to faint. Come and touch my heart. It's beating wildly. After Suki Oxen finished speaking, she blushed and touched her heart. Where would she touch her heart? Zhang Chen laughed, it seems that you are really nervous and your words are incoherent. Suki Oxen smiled sheepishly and made a face. Let's go, Zhang Chen said. Okay, Suki Oxen said, preparing to start the car. Stop, Zhang Chen shouted, and Suki Oxen froze there, looking at him. Are you going to start it like this? Zhang Chen asked. Then what else? Suki Oxen asked. Before starting, check whether the seat is adjusted into place, adjust it to the most comfortable position, and then adjust the rear view mirror to the appropriate angle. Make it a habit. Even if you drive your own car in the future, you should do it before starting. Check it first. Do you understand it? Otherwise, you can adjust it while driving, Zhang Chen said. Oh, boss, I understand. As Suki Oxen said this, she began to adjust the seat and the reversing mirror. Zhang Chen saw her move the chair to the front, almost touching the steering wheel. This is a common problem for all novices. The seat is very close to the steering wheel, and her hands are tightly clasped. The steering wheel and backrest are not only straight, but the head is thrust forward, wishing it could reach out of the front window. As his driving skills become more and more proficient and he becomes more confident in himself, the chair will move back a little bit and his body will lean back a little bit until one hand is holding the steering wheel and the other hand is holding the steering wheel. A man would often hold a cigarette, and a woman would hold lipstick or eyebrow pencil, while waiting for the traffic light to touch up her lips and eyebrows. Zhang Chen himself was like this. He was a novice, so he didn't say anything. He just asked Suki Oxen, are you okay? Suki Oxen looked back and forth, shook her body, and then said with certainty, okay. Drive if I tell you to drive, and stop if I tell you to stop, okay, Zhang Chen asked. Suki Oxen nodded repeatedly. Zhang Chen said, Suki Oxen started the car and drove forward for dozens of meters. Before it reached the exit of the parking lot, Zhang Chen shouted stop. Suki Oxen slammed on the brakes and the car moved forward and stopped. If she hadn't been wearing a seat belt, she would have leaned over the steering wheel. Yes, the reaction is very fast. If you know how to brake, nothing will happen. Don't worry, Zhang Chen said with a smile. Suki Oxen bit her lip and was so nervous that she almost didn't dare to express herself. Zhang Chen said to leave. Suki Oxen was stunned and didn't move. Zhang Chen said, let's go, why are you still standing there? Boss, didn't you say that if you get out of the way, why did you leave again? Suki Oxen asked. Zhang Chen laughed, you are the most obedient Suki Oxen I have seen today, okay, let's go. Suki Oxen nodded and started the car. The car drove out of the parking lot, turned right, and entered Huancheng North Road. Zhang Chen deliberately distracted Suki Oxen and talked to her. Zhang Chen said, "Don't worry, it's best to drive on this road without turning. Drive all the way to Xiaosha, the road is wide, there is an isolation belt in the middle, and there are few pedestrians crossing the road, so drive boldly." Suki Oxen continued to nod her head. "Suki Oxen, do you know what you should look like when driving?" Zhang Chen said. "What does it look like?" Suki Oxen asked. "You should be like a thief, constantly looking around, front and back, left and right, do you understand?" "But, I can't look over. It's too late to look in front. I don't have time to look behind and to the sides. Then what if someone or a car comes out sideways?" Okay, let me take a look," Suki Oxen said. "No, boss, why can't the police look around like the police catching thieves?" "Okay, Suki Oxen," Zhang Chen said with a smile, "you are still clear-headed, so I'm relieved." Suki Oxen chuckled. After passing the East bus station, Zhang Chen found that Suki Oxen's steering wheel was very stable and the car would not drift left and right. This really reassured him, so he leaned back and closed his eyes. Boss, Suki Oxen shouted. Zhang Chen opened his eyes and asked, "What's wrong?" "Don't fall asleep." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "I can sleep, which means I have confidence in your driving skills. You should be happy." No, boss, don't sleep," Suki Oxen shouted urgently. Zhang Chen said, "Yes, I won't sleep." "Don't close your eyes either." Zhang Chen smiled and said, "Okay, my eyes are wide open." Suki Oxen took a long breath and then started laughing. After driving forward for more than 10 minutes, we reached the intersection of Gentian West Road and Hanghai Road. After passing Hanghai Road, Gentian West Road came to an end, followed by Yingbin Avenue in Xiaosha, and Suki Oxen's whole body began to slowly relax. The green light at the intersection begins to count down, 6, 5, 4, 3. A Santana 2000 driving in front of them suddenly accelerated its speed, trying to pass the green light. When it probably passed the horizontal line, it realized that it couldn't pass, so it suddenly braked, and the car fell backwards, overcoming the pressure. Suki Oxen exclaimed as he stopped on the horizontal line, slammed on the brakes, and then stopped. Suki Oxen turned around, looked at Zhang Chen and said with a smile, "Oh my God, it was so dangerous, I almost hit him." As she spoke, the solace of her feet unknowingly loosened, and the automatic car drove forward slowly. Zhang Chen shouted, "Stop, stop, stop!" Suki Oxen looked at him, but did not react until the car hit it. The Santana 2000 in front exclaimed again and stopped the car. Suki Oxen's face turned pale. It's okay," Zhang Chen comforted her in turn. Two people got off the Santana 2000, Zhang Chen and Suki Oxen also got off the bus. When they saw Suki Oxen, the two people shouted, "Female driver, it seemed like I saw a monster." Zhang Chen moved the car that was pressing against them back. Everyone looked at the place where they hit. It was not serious and there was a white mark. However, one of them still took out his phone and prepared to call the police. The other one spit a little saliva on his finger and wiped the mark. Zhang Chen said, "Why don't you call the police? Just get a wax and you'll be fine. I'll give you 200. The man who wiped the mark straightened up and said, 300. Zhang Chen agreed, took out his wallet, drew 300 cards and gave them to them, and the two of them got in the car and left. Zhang Chen turned around and looked at Suki Oxen. Suki Oxen stood there, her face still pale and her whole body trembling. Zhang Chen smiled and said to her, "Did you see it? It's just that simple if you hit someone. If you don't hit anyone, it's fine. Let's go." "Oh." Suki Oxen nodded, came to her senses, and walked towards the passenger seat. Zhang Chen stopped her. "Where are you going?" Su Qiaxin pointed to the passenger seat and said, "It's in the car." "Here, keep driving," Zhang Chen said. Su Qiaxin had a grimace on her face and looked at Zhang Chen, who was about to cry. She said, "You still want me to drive, boss?" "Of course," Zhang Chen said, "if you don't keep driving, I guess you will have a shadow in your heart. You will never dare to touch the steering wheel in this life. Keep driving. It's okay. Every veteran driver will bump like this." But my legs are weak, boss." "If your legs are weak, get in the car and sit down, chew gum for a while before continuing. You can't escape today," Zhang Chen said. "Okay." Su Qiaxin walked to the driver's seat obediently. They drove to the factory and entered the parking lot. Su Qiaxin wanted to park the car in an open space. Zhang Chen stopped her, pointed to a parking space between the two parked cars and said, "Don't run away, park here." Su Qiaxin said "Oh" and wanted to drive the car in. Zhang Chen said, "Turn around and back in with your buttocks." "I'm terrible at reversing, boss," Su Qiaxin said. "You have to learn if you are a bad person," Zhang Chen said. "It's gonna hit your butt. What are you afraid of if I bump into you in my own factory?" Su Qiaxin looked at Zhang Chen helplessly. Zhang Chen persisted. Su Qiaxin had no choice but to go through the essentials of reversing the car into the garage when learning to drive. She tried to reverse the car, going in and out more than a dozen times, but it still didn't work. There were already many people joining in the fun standing beside her, looking at her laughing and joking. Zhang Chen said, "Don't worry about them, do it yourself." Su Qiaxin's face turned red, she bit her lip tightly, and after more than 10 minutes of backing up, she finally backed the car into place. After turning off the engine, she took a long breath, looked at Zhang Chen and said, "My ass is soaked with sweat, boss. Thank you Eternal Evergreen Emperor Yan for the reward. Thank you for your monthly votes for The Air Is Not Human, Eternal Green Emperor Yan, Watching Wild Foxes Under the Tree, and Jinwu Lanji. Thanks for all the votes and reading. Have a good evening everyone."